Hey guys, welcome back. Uh, doing Hebrews 8 today. Let's begin. Now the things which we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such an high priest, who is set on the right hand of the throne of the majesty in the heavens. Right, we're seeing this line again, right? Because I think he said this in chapter 1. A minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle, which the Lord pitched, right? The Lord pitched it, right? He's the one who pitched that true tabernacle, that minister of that sanctuary, and not man. For every high priest is ordained to offer gifts and sacrifices. Wherefore it is of necessity that this man have somewhat also to offer. For if he were on earth, he should not be a priest, seeing that there are priests that offer gifts according to the law, who serve unto the example and shadow of heavenly things, as Moses was admonished of God when he was about to make the tabernacle. For, see, saith he, that thou make all things according to the pattern shewn to thee in the mount. But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, right? This is talking about the ascension of Christ, right, into the heavens. And this is where he started his ministry as our high priest, right? In the heavens, that heavenly ministry. By how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. Right? In other words, if the first covenant was perfect, if it was faultless, right? There wouldn't be a second one. There wouldn't be a new covenant, right? We'd still be under the law, right? But we're not. We're under grace. For finding fault with them, he saith, Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, right? He's again quoting the Old Testament, by the way. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind, and will write them in their hearts. And I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. All right, this is talking about the millennial reign, by the way, which, by the way, us of the church today are not going to be partakers of the new covenant. We're partakers of the eternal covenant. Um, we're not partakers of the new one, right? Because the law isn't in our mind and it's not in our heart, and God doesn't supernaturally keep us from sin, right? Which he will do for these people, for the house of Israel. The house of Israel, right? This is why it's very important to read things in context, right, guys? Because most of the time when people read the Bible, they tend to miss stuff like this. They skip over keywords or they skip over entire chapters and they focus on single verses. Right? This is why I kind of call them jigsaw puzzle preachers. And okay, let's continue. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. Right? And one of the reasons why the church is not a partaker of the new covenant, it's because God made that first covenant to the house of Israel also, right? But they didn't finish it, right? This is God, in a way, able to fulfill his promise with Abraham, right? who he promised that basically Abraham's seed would be ministers of Christ to the entire world. Israel has never done that throughout their history. Never, right? So in the millennial kingdom, they're going to be supernaturally empowered to do so, right? So he's fulfilling that promise to Abraham, right? This is why it's so important to know, and this is why when like it because it's up and coming and it's growing rather rapidly. This Gnostic belief, right? This is why it's so important to recognize that for the satanic lie that it is, because they'll call the God, the quote unquote, they'll call God in the Old Testament, right? They'll say he's a different God than Jesus is, right? And they'll separate them. They'll call quote unquote God of the Old Testament the demiurge or the devil, right? A satanic evil being, right? This is not true. Jesus literally fulfills Yahweh's decree. So in doing that, whether they want to admit it or they know it or they realize it or not, they're calling Jesus the devil. Okay? It is beyond evil, right? So recognize that for what it is. Don't, and if you have to, rebuke them sharply because it's very bad to do that, right? I'm sure you could correct them gently, but in my experience, they can't receive it. It's impossible. They won't receive it. So whenever I personally encounter them, I don't really spare my words, so to speak, because they're accusing God of being the Satan. It's so evil. Anyways, for I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more. Right? And this part here is also part of the eternal covenant, right? But it is also part of the new covenant. This is why God can be righteous to justify Israel, despite them being like some of the most disobedient, blasphemous, wicked people around, right? And we see throughout the entire Bible that very thing, right? Really, Israel is like a picture of mankind as a whole, right? And that's what I think God's purpose for them is. But is using the fact that he chose them specifically um, to teach something, right? To all the world, to all creation, including angels, right? And the spiritual principalities and powers. In that he saith, a new covenant he hath made the first covenant old, right? It's dying, right? Now that which decayeth and waxeth old is ready to vanish away, right? Lots of people like to point towards Jesus saying that the law will never, won't perish and whatever, right? That it's like they think it's like some kind of eternal thing, right? But Jesus doesn't actually say that, does he? He says that it will perish, right? After certain things happen, right? It'll be done away with, right? Anyways, that's it for Hebrews 8. I'll see you guys in the next one.